It's so sunny outside. The water is sparkling with sunshine and I really want to go outside. But I really needed to do this video for you guys because it's so behind. And guys, I went to Thailand. So getting there. So Thailand is a very long flight. Now from Canada, it's about 27 hours direct if you can find a direct flight. And I did not want to fly direct. So what I did was I looked for stopovers along the way. I looked for maybe flying to Vancouver, then going to maybe South Korea, then to Thailand. I looked at stopping in Switzerland or Germany and then going to Thailand. But I figured, you know what, if I'm gonna stop over in a different country, I wanna go explore that country. So I looked for very long stopovers, like ones where you could leave the airport, go on a tour, and come back. So one morning I actually found one. And this was a deal that I had to call in. It was through Flight Center, and they had a flight stopping in Netherlands, so Amsterdam. Guess how long the stopover was? 20 hours. So I've never been to Europe. This was my first time flying over the Atlantic. So this was, you know, a new experience for me, and I was really happy to have that experience because you pay for one flight, but then you're getting multiple stopovers for you to go and explore the country. And everybody I speak to about it, they're like, so, did you leave the airport? Yes, I left the airport and I went on a tour. So in Amsterdam, I found a 3-hour walking tour. So when I got to the airport, I hopped into a cab. You know, I was seeing Teslas go by, taxis, the BMWs go by. But I got the Toyota Corolla hatchback, and that's all good. I'm humble. I love Toyota. Toyota was my first car. So I was down, and he took me to my hotel because I actually booked a hotel because 20 hours is a long time to be out with your luggage. Oh, that's another thing. I didn't check any luggage. I packed a backpack and a carry-on and my personal item. That's it. This is the first time I ever did that. In all my travels, I normally check my luggage because I don't like to be carrying around stuff. But this time I was like, you know what? I'm making multiple stops in different countries. I don't want to be risking my luggage getting lost. I don't want to be waiting for my luggage to come around when it drops. That's time wasted. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this. Let me try it. And you know what? I was so proud. Here's a picture of what it looks like. I got to my hotel in Amsterdam early, but I told them, hey, I'm here and I'm early. Can I check in? All I need to do is drop my bags and I gotta go catch my walking tour. So they looked at, you know, my reservation and the reservation was literally made the day before. That's how tight this trip was. Like I was constantly booking things as I went because there was no time to do it before I left. And I had to take care of, you know, my health insurance, get my cash, you know, all a million and one things you need to do before you leave, right? It was so hectic. I had to clean, you know, laundry, you got to do all this stuff. And, you know, it's just so hectic. So literally I was at the airport the night before looking at hotels to book. In about 7 hours, I'll be in Amsterdam. So I did that. And so the guy at the front desk was like, okay, if you pay us like $10, we'll get your room clean in 20 minutes and you can go. I was like, okay. So I did that. I was off to my walking tour and I asked the guy at the front desk, like, where is the stock exchange building? Can you give me some directions? So he's like, oh, you just go outside, turn left and walk all the way down. You should get there in a few minutes. I was like, okay. So he gave me a map. When was the last time I read a map? But anyway, I took it and I looked at it and I basically just started walking down these narrow streets. And then it goes over like the water because Amsterdam has a lot of waterways and almost everybody in Amsterdam rides a bicycle. And you really have to watch out for them. Literally, when you're crossing the street, you need to look both ways and around the corner because they just come around and they'll clip you. So I learned that very quickly in Amsterdam. And it was cold, so luckily I had like my winter coat because I was going to cold countries along the way to Thailand. And I brought my thinnest winter coat that I could just roll up and stick it in my luggage. Actually, I didn't do that because it takes up a lot of space, even though it's thin. I ended up just carrying it with me on the plane. and just putting it, you know, either above, you know, in the cabins, or just keep sitting on it or keeping it with me. So it actually came in handy, and I'm glad I took it, because I'll tell you about the next stop. I needed it there too. So there I go, walking along the way, trying to find this stock exchange tower, because like my tour starts in 15 minutes and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be late. So I'm there like walking really quickly, and along the way I'm like, excuse me, can you tell me where the stock exchange tower is? They're like, oh, just keep walking, you'll see it, you'll see it. So I did that for like 5 to 7 minutes, and I just kept checking in with people just to make sure I was on the right path. So again, excuse me, can you tell me, you know, where the stock exchange tower is? And they're like, oh, just down there, keep going. You'll get there in about 5-10 minutes. I'm like, all right. So like I was rushing. And then, you know, eventually there was like this open area, and there were some people standing with like red shirts saying like information. So I went to them and I'm like, hi, can you tell me where the stock exchange tower is? And they're like, oh, just right there. I'm like, great. So I just walked, you know, it was a couple feet, and I saw these groups of people standing around and this guy talking. So I was like, okay.
With, I guess, if you go behind this building, people stand in line for days for fancy chocolate brands and all kinds of expensive clothing and many stuff that you don't need all the time. So I think if the architect would see that, probably roll over in his grave list. I guess you cannot always win, you cannot always win. What's it like to say they always hard walk, such an old harbor? Boring! But the architecture and also the geography. I just want to say that, well, you're a fan of capitalism, then this should be a Mecca, because this is where it all started. So,
hi, I'm here for the tour. And they were just doing like introductions, names, where you're from, that kind of stuff. So I was really glad I didn't miss them, because I prepaid for this tour on Viator, and I was really looking forward to it. So yeah, Viator is actually a good website that you can go to book tours. Usually I don't book tours until I get to my destination, because you never know how you're gonna feel the day of, right? And sometimes you may get in late, anything could happen, and you don't want to lose your money. So, but this was an exception, because it was a stopover. I had 20 hours in Amsterdam and I needed to do something, and I wanted to explore the area. I really like history and I really like culture, so this walking tour was perfect. It was a 3-hour walking tour, and there were people there from all over the world, you know, men and women. And yeah, so I caught the tour. I wasn't late, and he basically took us like to like landmarks, right? Different landmarks. And while we stopped at certain areas, he would be talking.
the river to go to Europe and end up over here. We got the Rhine River going to Swiss, Germany, ending up in the Netherlands. It's a big, well, bathtub. It's basically just a drainage. Got all the big rivers that go here, they take the dirty hairs, the sediments, the mud, it all gets dumped on the Netherlands. And what you get is just one big Swiss cheese, greasy, wetlands, swamps, lakes, rivers, mud, all just bad. I think if I would have been here a few hundred years ago, then I would have been running out of there. But my ancestors were like, well, it's like a pretty nice place. We love it over here. We're going to live over hundreds of years. We have no problem at all over here. Because they're kind of stubborn people, I would say.
So he gave us a little history. It wasn't like any snacks or food or anything, just strictly, you know, we walk a little bit, we stop. He tells us a bit about the area. You know, if you have any questions, you can ask. There were opportunities to take pictures along the way. And I don't know, I learned quite a bit about Dutch history. After the tour, I made my way back to my hotel. It started to rain, so, you know, I put on my hood and I was kind of just like winging it, because I have a good sense of direction. So I basically tried to retrace my steps, and I knew I was going in the right direction, but I wasn't sure if I was on the right street. But I was going over like the narrow paths, and then I knew I was going over water, so I knew I was going in the right direction. And then I actually walked down this alleyway where there was nobody, but I just felt like I was going in the right direction, so I did it anyway. And then I came out on the street where my hotel was, so I was like, whew, thank goodness. And lucky thing, I actually found a Thai restaurant right across the street from my hotel. So that's where I got dinner. And the guy was really nice. He was actually from Thailand, and I was telling him, hey, you know what, I'm on my way and I haven't even booked where I'm staying yet. Like, do you have any recommendations? And he's like, oh, I have a friend in Phuket and they have a place, it's, you know, by the beach. So yeah, he was really nice. He gave me the information. He wrote it in English, he wrote it in Thai. He actually messaged them on Facebook to tell them, give them my name and that I'm coming. But I didn't actually end up staying there because when I got to Bangkok, I just found other places to stay in Bangkok. And then in Phuket, I wanted something close to the beach, close to Patong Beach. And I wasn't sure that place was. It sounded like another beach, and there are a lot of beaches in Patong, by the way, in Phuket. So you'll have a lot of options. But anyway, so yeah, so I had Thai food while I was in Amsterdam. And then at the end, basically, you know, it was raining, so I just went back to my hotel, ate my food there, and called it a night. The only thing is, though, I wasn't sure how early I was supposed to go back to the airport, so I got up, I don't know, like 1 o'clock in the morning. But you know what? I really didn't even sleep that much. It was like maybe an hour or 2 hours, but I didn't feel like I was sleeping because I'm in a different time zone now from North America. So yeah, I really didn't sleep for 3 days until I got to Thailand. I'll be honest. I felt like a time traveler. So I got up out of the bed, got ready, didn't have to pack too much stuff because, you know, I have my carry-on, just whatever toiletries that I had. Was able to have a shower, make some tea, and then I had the guy at the front desk call me a cab to go to the airport because I'm thinking I have to be 3 hours early, but that actually wasn't the case because apparently in Europe, if you're traveling in Europe, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours, you can show up at the airport. But I was already ready to go, so I went. So Tesla came to pick me up and take me to the airport. And, you know, it's night, so I arrived there. I went in, the airport was super quiet, but the shops were just opening, so I was still able to, you know, walk around a bookstore. I ended up buying a book. So the flight to Austria was very nice. It was a really nice plane. You know, you had enough space between you, and I was able to get like an aisle seat, which I love. And, you know, they spoke German, so you'd hear the pilot speaking German, and then they'd speak English for people like me. But it's important to note that there are other regional dialects, even though the main language is German. So I was getting to learn Dutch along the way, some words in Dutch, and I do know some words in Dutch because I had traveled to like Curacao and they speak Dutch there, Aruba. Again, those are Dutch Caribbean islands, the ABC islands. So I had a little bit of Dutch, and you know, while I was in the airports, I would read signs and familiarize myself with Dutch, but now I'm in Austria, or on my way to Austria, so I was now learning German. And so yeah, I really love languages, and you know, I love to travel, and I love geography and history, so it was a good experience. So the flight was 2 hours, and then when I landed, it was early in the morning, like about 8 o'clock. So again, you know, I just jumped off the plane and went straight to the tourist information person at the airport. I didn't know that Austria is a regional hub, so you can get a lot of flights going to different places in Europe and outside of Europe. So from Austria, then I would be going to Thailand, and that flight was 10 hours. So, but guess what? I had 8 hours in Austria. So I decided to leave the airport and go on a double-decker tour. You know those hop-on and hop-off bus tours? Yes. So I found them, and the only thing was, though, I had to take a train to get there. So this is what the lady was telling me. She pulled out her map. Everybody's a big fan of maps. And she's like, okay, you need to take the train and you need to go here, and then you're going to transfer to here, and then you're going to get off here and walk up the stairs and just walk across the street to the boarding area for the bus. I was like, can I just take an Uber or a taxi? She's like, yes, you can, but they pay me to promote you, you know, to take public transit because it's better for the environment. I was like, okay, I guess I could save some money. And so I thought about it for a while. Like, I went to a Starbucks in the airport, got my chai tea latte, mulled over this idea of me taking the train in a foreign country. And you know, the signs are in German. So I was like, okay. I looked at the map. She told me exactly where to take it and what stop to get off of. So I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. So I did it. I went and bought my ticket, and from a machine that was also in German, I figured it out. And then I went and looked on the platform, well, you know, the big screen, to see which number train I need to take to my destination. So I got through that and just hanging out on the platform, waiting for this train. So there was actually an area that you could put your luggage above, but I didn't because mine was heavy. Even though it's a carry-on, it was heavy. So I just kept it beside me. And away I went. So while I was on this train, I was just looking at the scenery and enjoying it. So here I am in Austria as a tourist. So there were quite a few stops, like 10 stops, before I could get off, and I needed to transfer to another train and then go up the stairs, right? So I did that, and then, so when I got to the final stop, I went up the stairs, like the exit, and then I didn't know where I was. I just saw, you know, very fancy buildings, and there were these people promoting opera sales. So I asked this guy, excuse me, can you tell me where I go to get the hop on, hop off bus? He's like, sure, you just go over there to those lights and you cross the street and you'll see them right on the corner. I was like, thank you. But he's like, are you interested in the opera? Would you like to buy an opera ticket? I'm like, sorry, I'm only here for 8 hours. So I'm gonna go catch my tour. He's like, okay, maybe next time. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there because this video has gone on long enough. So stay tuned for when I actually land in Bangkok. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it below.